Good morning. Welcome to our daily devotion. Let me try to get some of this light a little bit better. I don't know what I'm doing here. It is Friday, March 5th. Thank those of you that continue to watch these videos, those of you that are committed to them, those of you that share them. Appreciate every single one of you. We're in Matthew chapter 11. I'm going to read verses 16 and 17. These are the kind of verses where if you were just reading the Bible on your own, you would probably just casually read them and not even think much about them. But there's a lot in them. Let me just read it. Jesus says, "To what can I compare this generation? For they are like children sitting in the marketplace and calling out to others. We played the flute for you and you did not dance. We sang a dirge and you did not mourn." Now, again, you would just read that and not think much about it. Good morning, Grace. Good morning, Gloria. Good morning, Edie. Jesus, what does he mean when he says, "I compare this generation"? Now, generation is a generation of people that's from birth to death. Usually that's like around 40, 60, 70, today maybe 80 years. He said, they are like children sitting in the marketplace calling out to others. Just wanting to play. They're like that generation. He says was like children just wanting to play all the time. He said they played music at a dance and no one was dancing. They were singing at a funeral and no one was mourning. A stubborn generation. Could we say that same thing about today's generation? Morning, John. Could we say that same thing? People just wanting to play with what the world offers and never satisfied. How much do you see that? Do you see Christians, people that call themselves Christians, just in the world, looking for the next thing to do, never satisfied, like children, just wanting to play? With this generation, building and starting churches and few wanting to attend. Think of this, 6,000 to 10,000 churches close their doors every year in America. I mean, when I first heard the statistic, it was mind-boggling to me. It was mind-boggling to me that 6,000 to 10,000 churches close their doors every year. And then there was something like 4,000 church plants every year, but 70 to 80% of them don't make it. So people just don't want to go to church. They just don't want to go to church. That's why he says we played the flute and you didn't dance. We built a church and you didn't want to go. They stopped making Christian movies and TV programs because no one was watching them. I mean, think of all the programs that are on television today. And just think of how many different channels there are. How many of them are Christian-based? Now, why? Why is that? Because nobody wants to watch them. They only put out programs that get ratings. Everything's about ratings. So if they make Christian movies and no one watches them, there's no ratings, they're not going to continue making them. So, wow. Christian songs. How many people listen to Christian radio stations? People, think of this, people have more of a passion today for politics than they do for their faith. They post political views, but they hardly ever post their Christian views. They talk about sports more than they do Jesus. I could go on and on and on with this. So Jesus was discouraged with that generation. What does he think about this generation? What does he think about our generation? I wonder. So let me ask you. Let me just ask you. Maybe we can answer this question ourselves. What are most of your conversations about? When you talk to other people, what are most of your conversations about? How often do you talk about your faith? How often do you talk about spiritual things? What do you spend most of your free time doing? Think of the free time you have. What do you do with most of it? How much of it is used to help others? What are your passions? What are your passions in life? Are any of them spiritual? My brother was asking me the other day about me and my wife what our bucket list is. Now, a bucket list is things in life that you still want to do, and you're hoping you get to do them before you die. Some of them it's parachuting. Some of them it's going to maybe to Hawaii or whatever. People have a bucket list, and I told her, I said, I don't have one. And he said, why not? And I said, because I'm doing everything I want to do. But if you had a bucket list, if you had a bucket list of things that you still want to do, would any of them be spiritual? Would one of them be, I'd want to go to India for a month to help in the orphanages there? Would that be one of the things on your bucket list, or would it be I want to go to New Zealand or Australia or somewhere that I hear is beautiful? What do you do with your free time? How would Jesus describe you? If Jesus were to describe you, how would he describe you? Like he described John the Baptist earlier, we read, where he said, no greater person has ever been born. And then he described David, King David, a man after my own heart. How would he describe you? Would it be a lot like he described this generation, little to no enthusiasm? Because that's what he's literally saying to that generation. It's almost like, here I am, God. I'm doing miracles. I'm performing signs and wonders, and you're dead. And you're dead. You're like children crying out for other children in the marketplace to play. Just wanting to play. Just wanting to be in the world. How would he describe you? Think about this. When you were able to attend church, when you were still able to attend church, let me just think back on it now. It's been a year, but think back on it. Did you eagerly want to go, or did you just go out of obligation? Like, that's just something I do on Sunday. Or did you eagerly want to go? Did you eagerly worship, or did you just mouth the words? Did you get into the worship and sing out to Jesus, sing out to the Lord, or were you just mouthing the words? Did you listen intently to the message, or did you allow your mind to wander? You know how sometimes in a classroom, a teacher will ask a child a question right during her lesson, and the kid wakes up like, huh? Like, wasn't paying attention? Could that be you on a Sunday morning, where your pastor is giving a message, and if he called on you, you would be like, what? Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Did you ever were you excited enough about your church to ever invite someone? Were you excited about your faith enough to invite someone? Did others comment about the change that they saw in your life? Do they ever comment about, wow, I really see a big difference in your life? Do they ever say that? Because all of these things say a lot about your spiritual growth. Are we any different than what that generation was? Are you any different than what that generation was? Now here's the good news. Here's the good news, okay? Listen to this. Morning, Ambrosia. I don't know if Patty's with you. Here's the good news. It's never too late to start over. It's never too late to start over. It's never too late to start taking your faith serious. It's never too late to fall in love with Jesus again. If you're married and you're kind of separated from your spouse and you just kind of like exist together, it's never too late to rekindle that love. If you have a relationship that's separated from someone, it's never too late to rekindle that relationship. Don't just throw your hands up in the air like nothing I can do. It's never too late. It's never too late to start over. Never too late. Never too late to fall in love with Jesus again. To fall in love with Jesus again. I can remember when I first gave my life to the Lord. And I've shared this a few times with you, but I was so in love with Jesus. I was so in love with Jesus. I had a van that I was going to work with every day in construction, and I would literally be talking to him like he was in the passenger seat right next to me. I'm sure there were times when I pulled up to a red light where people were looking at me like, who's he talking to? Because I was literally carrying on a conversation with Jesus. I would help anybody. Now, you couldn't do that today, but if I'm on my way to work and I saw someone stalled on the freeway with a flat tire, I pulled over every single time I pulled over to help them. I had no idea who they were, but I helped them. And if they had a spare, I put the spare on. If they didn't have a spare, I'd put them in my van and we'd go down to the nearest station to get a used tire and go back. And if they didn't have the money, I would pay for it. Now, you can't do this today either, but when I saw someone hitchhiking, I would pull over and give them a ride. And if I was going, say, from Cerritos to Bellflower, and I picked somebody up, and I said, where are you going? He said, I'm going downtown LA. And I said, all right, get in. I would take them down to LA, even though I was only going to Bellflower. I love Jesus, and I wanted to do everything I could for him and for his people. I look back and I think, I want to be like that all my life. I want to be like that all my life. And Jesus was discouraged with that generation. Jesus, the Son of God, the God himself, was discouraged with that generation. I hope that's not true today. He was discouraged with the people. I hope that's not us. I hope he's not discouraged with us. I hope that he's not discouraged with you. And if you think that he might be, then change. Change. We're talking about God. Change. Change. So that one day you will hear him say to you, well done, my good and faithful servant. Whew. Well done, my good and faithful servant. Do everything you can to fall in love with Jesus again. Amen. Hey, thank you for watching. If this meant something to you, share it. I hope to see you all again tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock kind of early, isn't it? Every once in a while I think about maybe changing it to 9, and it's kind of like, no. Jesus deserves us getting up in the morning for him. So anyway, have a great day. Have a great weekend, and I hope to see many of you tomorrow. God bless. Share this if it meant something to you. God bless you all. Fall in love with Jesus again.